I mean, you don't invite these people over. They just happen to show up. I mean, that's the fruits that you experience.
No, you never know what you're going to be having that day when the fruits show up, and
sometimes fruit cakes, too.
There are Fruit Loops, fruit cakes. There's all kinds of fruits, yeah. And but you get all the different ones, and you get the people who come in. They think that they're going to be the white knight, and they're going to save this whole thing. And
right.
We had one guy one time, he came in previous to some event. He came in several days ahead of it. He was like ready to go. I said, dude, we're not even open. You're going to have to come back in 3 days and we're open. Anyway, he goes into the gift shop. He buys one of these 3-foot-tall statues of Our Lady of America, and he takes off. He ends up going to Washington, D.C.
Oh, God, don't tell me.
He goes and he invades the National Shrine to the Immaculate Conception, takes his statue in there, and starts insisting on displaying it there with all this fervor. He got into basically a real fight, a standoff.
Did he?
With the people there. I think he was getting pretty rough and belligerent with them. That they need to be doing this. And it's like, I said, dude, you just probably then he comes back trying to be all happy about what he did. I said, dude, you probably just set the whole movement back another
right.
decade.
Right. Where did you come from, old City?
I said, you went in there and you pissed thanks.
Right.
Right. It's like he wasn't problematic enough. And then they go in, but this is what happens a lot of times. They think, I'm going to be the one that does this, watch me go.
Right.
And then they go and they flame out, and then they come back and they want to say, did I do good? No, you probably shouldn't have done that.
Right.
But this is where, the messages that are in here, the Our Lady of America messages, she had called for this to be given to the bishops, for them to promote. This isn't your job to get this into the net. This is only something that the bishops can do. Now, whether or not the bishops will or won't do that a lot is going to be dependent upon what you do, and whether you are showing the fruits of this, devotion, this path to understanding, if you will. Because I don't really think it's a devotion. I think it's just more of a call to action.
Correct.
And I think that is where the difference in this lies. And you want to call it the gold standard, but I think that with this particular message in Our Lady's plan is a call to action.
No, absolutely, because she talks about the miracles will not be mainly physical miracles, although a lot of those in Lourdes were physical. She said the miracle of the soul, which is the miracle of the conversion, which is the most difficult miracle for people to change.
Right.
But they're talking about the re-evangelization of the world. This is a call to action. This is not just, sitting around contemplating, what do we do next? This is we're move out, get the troops.
I think a lot of it is, will you adjust the thinking and your free will and your decisions to what it is I want and not what you think you need. You don't need to be buying a statue in the Midwest and driving 10, 12 hours back to D.C. to go cause a stir.
Right.
What you need to be doing is, if you're going to buy that statue, take it home or go show it in your own parish.
That's all right.
Back home.
Sure.
There are other people already working on the end goal of this. It's not your job. Go about it in a more reasonable path that doesn't piss so many people off along the way.
Yeah, sure.
But then cause us to have to answer these things. What did you do to this guy? I said, I didn't do anything.
Right. Now you got it right.
Where'd
you buy that statue?
I didn't even sell him the statue.
No, you didn't.
No, somebody else. But I told him not to do it, but he does it anyway because he thinks that I'm just crazy.
Right.
That, I'm just too. He said I was too timid to do it myself. I said, dude, you're calling me timid?
Right. No, you called the wrong guy timid. Right.
You don't know me.
Right.
And but I'm not out there looking for fights, but I'm not looking to go out and put out fires that don't need to be lit.
Right.
And but this is how it goes. People are emotional about this, and I can see how they can get emotional about other places that they've been and they identify with. And that's okay, but I don't. And I don't get excited about a lot of these things when they do happen. I mean, I think my phase of excitement has come and gone. You know, when I saw, we were talking about when I saw the sun spinning, you know, and we'll talk about with Fatima.
Right.
But,
I sent Larry a thing on Fatima where they actually filmed the Miracle of the Sun, and he had some very interesting comments to make about your experience with the sun.
well, I'd said, yeah, I didn't know about Fatima when I had my event. That was on July the 15th of 2001.
Okay.
When I was up on Holy Family Hill with this group of people from Cincinnati, who was Archbishop Leibold's nephew
That was
and his
unbelievable.
family.
Yeah, that was a great
They all
story.
show up. His namesake shows up with all these kids and another family. They've been having a day, and I shared in it by way of a message I got about them, but it doesn't matter here. But anyway, I ended up getting up onto the hill with them, and we started to pray a rosary. And with that, then the sun started to spin. And I'd never seen the sun spin before.
This was the first time in 2000.
This is the first time. It was 2001, July the 15th, the first time I ever saw it. Okay, it could have been going on well before, but this was very, very dramatic. And
Just before 9/11.
oh, yeah, this was, 3-4 months before, 3
Yeah.
months before,
Yeah.
2 months before. And so we're out there, and I see the sun spinning, and it's just doing its thing. And I thought for sure that the world was coming to an end. And then
Really?
when the sun dropped out of the sky
Really?
and down to the ground, you know, we all thought at that point that life was over.
No kidding.
I mean, I'm freaking out. I'm trying to run because I'm trying to get back to the building. I mean, all these other people were not my concern at that point. The only thing I thought about at that point was my wife and trying to get to her. And I knew there was no way I was going to be able to get to her in time because I thought that the world was going to end
Wow.
in that instant.
No
And
kidding.
as I'm trying to run from there, I get thrown down on my knees right there underneath one of the trees that's there. And a lot of people know. But with that, I'm down on my knees and I just start praying as an act of contrition. And when you're that scared,
You say,
well, and you're that, you know, certain about certain things and you're that scared, there is no way you can remember a prayer that you learned in third grade.
so you basically go to the street.
Well, I went to the street and I says, Lord, if I've ever done anything to piss you off, I am so sorry.
There we go.
And I
Let's-
and I promise you I will try to never do it again. And I've been assured by 2 different Catholic cardinals and several bishops
That was a
that
confession.
that was an
Legitimate.
act of contrition. That was a valid act of contrition in that moment.
So it
It
was
made them all laugh about
that
it.
dynamic of the sun coming was literally you felt the same.
I thought
thing
the
they
world
did
was over.
in Fatima. It's coming, it's done. What happened?
With me?
No, with the sun.
I don't know. I checked out. I was up as it's spinning. I end up checking out, and I'm up above the trees looking down on my body.
Oh.
So I'm having one of these out of body experiences. I thought I died.
Okay, so it
And I mean, I'm at this point. My thinking going into this moment was that the world was ending, and then all of a sudden I'm up above the trees looking down on myself, and I'm frozen
so we're like
on my knees.
we're like a speck of dust or what?
Well, it's like it's an out of body, you know, like this is your life kind of moment.
That's it.
You know, look at yourself.
Thank you for playing.
You know, and I'm up above the trees looking down,
At least you're elevating.
and I'm thinking, well, it was a vantage point, and it was the best view I had. And I'm looking down, and I'm thinking to myself, holy crap, I'm dead.
Wow.
It's over. And I'm thinking to myself, this is what it is. And I'm thinking, whoa. And I start looking around for my brother, you know, and well, I'm trying to see.
Where is everybody at?
I'm looking for my family.
Sure.
And there's none of that going on. I hear a woman's voice. She says, my most faithful child, I assure you, this is only the beginning.
Oy,
Please bring me my children. Bring me all of my children.
there you go.
So, and in that instance, I knew that it was the Blessed Mother was talking to me. And she allowed me to ask questions and things like that. We had a little bit of a one-sided conversation, and I was accepting of it. And then I come back to awareness then, and people are staring at me.
Wow.
And they said I was gone for like 40 minutes.
Wow.
They said I was on my knees, frozen, with never blinking,
Oh my God.
but they could see on my face like this changing of light.
So you heard her, but you did not see her.
Right.
Okay.
And when I asked
There's a reason for that.
and I asked about that, I said, why? I asked Father Havel and other people afterward. I even confirmed them with some of the higher ups that I talked with over the years. And they said, that was done to protect you. And I said, protect me? He says, yes, to protect you and the messages, because had you seen the Blessed Mother, that would have made you a visionary. But as it is, all I've had is locutions.
Okay.
So I haven't actually seen the Blessed Mother in an apparition, because had that happened, then all of this would have had to have ended until I died.
Oh.
Because you can't continue with an investigation until the visionaries are dead. So nothing can happen until the visionary is gone. So anything that they're alleging happened at Medjugorje and all like that, nothing can happen until all these people are dead.
Yeah. Interesting. So all of these things are occurring because our Lord's having to have to intervene in a situation that's going to climax with apostasy, a falling away from the faith, which we're seeing, brutally seeing. And our Lord's attempt to save as many souls as possible. So then the question is, what role are we to play? And, of course, we can't do what only God can do, but that doesn't mean we just sit around. So what role do we play in preparing the way for Christ's second coming? And I think we're pretty close to that. I think they're pretty close to God having to have to intervene. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, you've told me about that, but the full dynamic of how it was impressed on you and what your thoughts were in terms of the end of the world was that's the first time.
I thought
that's the first time I heard you express that.
I thought life was over. I mean, I was certain of it, because this stuff just doesn't happen.
Correct. Yeah.
I mean,
sure.
it just doesn't happen.
Right.
I'm telling you, and people have seen the sun spin afterwards. Since then,
Correct.
It's become a regular event in my life. Not like that.
No, it's not coming at the.
It's never fallen out of the sky.
Okay.
Well, we've had other situations afterward where the sun didn't fall out of the sky, but a ball of light came out of the sun, came all the way down to Earth.
Oh, that's
and
interesting.
would land in the field.
You got a picture of that?
Yeah, we have pictures of that,
Okay.
and I think it's they've been broadcast a lot. But we have the picture of the diamond-shaped image coming down, dropping down out of the sky, down into the field, and then coming across the field towards us, and then stopping about, maybe 150 yards away from the base of the hill. But everyone's sitting there watching this, and we're all describing what everyone's seeing it. And everyone's like, oh my, you
That's
hear all
amazing,
these
huh?
hushed,
Sure.
tones.
Oh, who sees
But
that?
everyone's like, that's Our Lady, that's Our Lady, and then some of the kids would be wanting to run to it and stuff like that. I mean, everyone was reacting a little bit differently. We had other people fainting, couldn't believe that
Sure.
something could be so close and so, miraculous
right.
at that time, that they were just overwhelmed by it.
Sure.
We had other people just breaking down in tears, and we had other people just started singing. But, the kids wanted to run to it, and it stayed there. And it was just, we've just seen things. And I'm not saying come there because of that.
No.
I'm saying, but if it happens, don't deny it.
Yeah.
But I always tell people, if you come to Rome City, don't come and expect anything, but take what you're given. Because I think everybody gets something, even if they're the biggest curmudgeon, the biggest denier, they're going to feel something. And that's why whenever we would have somebody that have a miraculous healing, they come in a group and they'd have a sick kid or they have a sick member of the family that they'd be bringing forward, and they'd have like this particular uncle or other family member thinking, "Oh, this is all bullshit." It's like, what are we doing here? We could have been at Kings Island by now. Here we are, we're stuck here. What's Rome City? What are we doing here? And then all of a sudden, their niece or the child is being healed of something right before their eyes. And I tell you, boy, does their disposition ever change after that?
So they're more appreciative at
Well,
that point.
I always went for the doubting Thomases because I wanted to find them, because I always thought that was the miracle that we're looking for, the miracle of the soul,
You're right.
not of the body.
You're right. You're right.
The body is like a gift. It's like, hey, here's a little piece of candy and all this. It's going to be gone after a while.
Right.
Because our lives are so short. So enjoy the candy while you got it. But in the meantime, what's
The
your
soul is-
interior
it's-
doing?
Right.
This is where God does his work. It's not with your body, but with your
You're
interior.
Right.
And this is where the heaviest lifting needs to be done. And I think that's where our lady was talking about there'll be miracles greater than Fatima and Lourdes, but mainly of the soul and not of the body. There are
There'll be
healings
that
of the
too,
flesh.
yeah, but right.
I mean, they come, and I always suggest to people, if they're looking for a miracle, they need help with their own health. It's not for you that you want to be praying for, but like if you're a mother or father, you got to be praying that you can live so you can take care of your children and raise them the way God intended for you to do it, as these gifts that be, so you can complete your job. And then, Lord, when my work is done with my children, I'm all yours, but please let me finish my work. If you pray for that as your healing, I've seen wonderful things happen.
Magnificent things.
Because it's not about you.
Right.
It's about your job.
Right.
It's about your duty.
Absolutely.
It's about your obligation that you took on when you had those children, that God gave you. And I think when you deal with that, it's not about me, Lord. It's about my kids.
That's right.
We got to make sure these get right. Can you please, let me stay to fix them? And then when they're set, my job, I'll
Absolutely.
be complete.
I've told this story before, but there was a guy that he was a Catholic and did all the things. He was an engineer, so his Catholic sense was to do this and do that. So
the Catholic method, the survivor method.
The guy ends up sort of dying, and he's in hell, and he calls out to Jesus, and Jesus comes, and
what you want?
so he says to,
now you want to talk to me?
yeah,
Okay.
our Lord says to him, "Look, you're going to get in heaven, but one of the lowest places you can be in heaven, because all your stuff was simply based on fulfilling."
You were method acting.
He said, I want to tell you something. He goes, some of your kids ain't going to make it. He goes, and that's problematic. He goes, but you can come now. You can come now into heaven. I'll take it, or you can go back. The guy says, I think I'll go back and help my kids.
Yeah.
That's what our Lord wanted to hear. Not you can come in, sludge around and,
Right.
in heaven, and you're going to think that I didn't do for my children? And exactly right, Larry. That's from the soul for your kids and for your mother and your father, and to treat them with respect.
And being responsible in those things. And there's nothing wrong with that, but appealing for the help. It's not for you, because you're going to be fine.
That's right.
But you got to fix those kids.
Absolutely.
And you got to make sure that that's taken care of. Don't worry about death, but worry about your goals and your obligations.
Yeah.
And things like that you have, from these gifts that you got. And, I don't know what the right or wrong way about it is, but I just know I think there's a better way.
Yeah.
Many times a lot of people get too caught up in their immediate fears, like I did with the sun spinning.
Yeah, but
that was
whoever saw that. I mean, you see something like that, and
I wasn't the only one trying to find a door, but everyone else there was with their family already.
Right.
And I was the only one who was without. And there was a little bit of a difference in our motivations at that point, and so, but they all stayed. But I tell you, when I came back too, they all left.
Did they?
Oh, they were scared.
Wow.
I mean,
So when he says
the
people who were there were from the Leibold family, and the person who was Archbishop, explain who he was.
Well, Archbishop Paul Leibold was Sister Millie's, or Sister Marie Ephraim's spiritual director. And
he was an archbishop. What was he, Larry?
He was the Archbishop of Cincinnati.
Okay.
and he had been around. He had been in Evansville.
He was a bishop of
beforehand.
Evansville. Yeah,
Yeah,
we were there
He'd
together.
been with and so she was very confiding in him, and then Archbishop Leibel died suddenly, I think in 1972 from a brain
Correct.
aneurysm.
Yeah.
So he was on the path to confirming all of this because he had the medal struck, he had the statue made, he had a plaque made, all these things that came out of his
He was
own
on
pocket.
fire. Yeah, he was a real deal.
Well, he was like, yeah, most bishops don't do this.
Right. That's right.
It's like even our bishop here says, well, I want to see the fruits.
Yeah, right.
First after he says, you're not, no, you're not going to do it. No. And
Darcy.
I mean, it wasn't Darcy, this is Rhodes.
Oh, another one.
Darcy just denied it.
Okay.
Darcy comes up and he celebrates it 5 times, and he goes on national TV and says, I know nothing. He basically told every kid who'd been to his mass when he talked about it, he basically
denied it, yeah.
pulled the rug out from all their, and he called me a liar, which basically started the death threats against me after I'd been
terrible.
I'd been conversing with this guy for years, having dinners with him, talking about this and what's been going on.
Right.
And the guy sitting next to him at that time was a fellow by the name of Archbishop Burke,
who
became Cardinal Burke. But he's on the interview panel with Darcy at this time on EWTN. And Darcy says, no, I know nothing about it. Don't know nothing to talk about.
Terrible.
And Burke is sitting right next to him, kind of giving him like the side eye. You're like,
Yeah, terrible.
What Darcy didn't know is Burke had been helping me for years put together the books of information and outlining the details of the historical records of the miraculous healings and the doctor's reports and putting it all together for him. Burke was helping me compile these things and give it to Darcy.
Wow.
But Darcy didn't know that Burke was the guy that was helping me. And he's sitting right next to him the whole time.
Yeah.
And
so this is what we're dealing with, folks, are people that are not behaving properly. They're in positions of authority. Can you give us an update, a synopsis of what you think Bishop Rhodes is doing concerning Our Lady of America?
I don't know if he's doing anything at this point about it. Probably just waiting to see if crowds of people show up and, if
how many hot dogs have you?
And how much revenue starts coming in from whether it be donations or whatnot. I don't know. I think it's kind of cold. I don't know. I don't.
You and I used to kid a lot about as soon as you're selling 3,000
as soon as you
hot
sell
dogs,
3,000
right?
hot dogs a day, they're all going to
we
get
would
excited.
like to, for all the work that Larry has done, and we would like to have that hot dog stand, please. Hot dogs.
Yeah, I said if you get the people coming here, I'll just sell hot dogs and bottled water. I'll make my money back.
That's
one bun at a time.
Everybody's happy.
But we'd always said, once we start selling 3,000 hot
they'll be
dogs a
here.
day, they'll pay really close attention.
Yeah.